I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Monday, May 12th. All right, public forum. Is there anybody in the room? Anybody online? Okay. Close public forum. We're on to agenda approval. Anybody need to make any additions to the agenda?
Executive today for litigation matters.
Exec for litigation.
Tina for the treasurer's office.
Okay. Yeah. And we'll just fit her in. Treasurer's office will be just fit in whenever she can get here.
When she's ready.
Yeah, because it's just a report.
Yeah.
She's also busy in that office too, so we'll make sure.
It's the last day of day, so.
Alright, any other additions? Alright. Move forward with the agenda as approved. Administrative business.
Okay. We have the minutes of May 5th.
Everybody got a chance to review the minutes? Anybody got any questions or corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve? So, motion by Kent,
I'll second it.
second by Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
I wasn't here.
Abstained. 4 with 1 abstention. Fit her in.
Would you like to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know you're busy, so make it quick.
Yeah.
Let's go back to work.
So mostly you want to kind of know about the treasurer's reports that you have in your packets. Yeah.
I just had a question.
Yes, please.
In managing those money market accounts, when we have 1 or 2 banks that are paying way more than others, how about we move it to the higher rate if they can pledge? I mean, based on what I'm looking at, we ought to move another $1 million into the high pay. If they can match the pledging on it, that's $30,000 a year.
Yes, I'd be happy to move that. Yeah, so,
I mean, having balances with all the banks is fine, but when there's that much difference in the money market, that's a chunk of change.
I understand, yeah. So you are in favor of leaving the regular checking, the money in the regular
Yeah,
checking?
I'm talking about money market, just managing that because of the variation in the rates. I mean, that's the only question I had. I mean, the CDs, they come due and we can move them if we have to.
Yes, absolutely, and I am still getting, I guess because I haven't been here for a lot longer than a year, I didn't know why they had certain funds in certain places, and so I wanted to kind of give it some time to kind of understand why they had opened certain accounts. I just met with Emprise Bank this last week. We have a checking account with them that we never make deposits or withdrawals out of, and they had gotten a dormant notice. And so I talked with them and I said, I don't know the history of why we have a regular checking account open there. It is a money market account, but why it is a checking and not a CD. So I kind of wanted to wait a year and just see if I found why we needed those funds to be fluid. And they actually have a new, not new, they do have a different option for it would still be fluid funds that we could withdraw from at any time, but it's got some little different options at a higher rate, which would be great, where the funds are still not tied up in like a CD, for example.
I understand the liquidity side.
Yeah.
We have to have liquidity.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just looks like it just looked like, you know, hey, if we can get adequate pledging, why not keep it in the highest?
You bet. Yeah, and I'm on board. I definitely am. I apologize. I just was a little nervous about moving anything around until I'd kind of seen a whole year of ins and outs.
I understand.
So, and I don't still, I would love to have people to ask, you know, why exactly did we do it that way before? And I'm sure there was a reason at some point. But having not been involved in those questions before, I was afraid to make any big changes until I kind of had a little feel for what happens going forward. So, no, I'm very glad to go ahead and get those funds moved over to a higher rate account. And I should be able to report on those next month. Yeah. Do you guys have any other?
How long are we investing our CDs now?
Generally, they're 6-month CDs. Most of them compound every 30 days. Some of them do compound quarterly. Or one has every 6 months. And whenever we bid out a CD, we ask them to try to meet MIP rate. And so they've been most have been very good at working with us in trying to meet MIP rate. And so, but we are staying on top of those when they come due. But yeah, most of them are compounding every 30. And the pledging is going very well. Right now, of course, we've got a lot of money flowing into those banks. Even the smaller banks are doing a really good job of helping us with the pledge. I just talked with Tampa State Bank this morning because our online tax payments are going into their bank. And just making sure that whoever paid online today, that's gonna be a fairly sizable chunk, and making sure that they are, obviously, our pledging is not terribly close there, but I wanted to make sure we would be okay. And then Marion National Bank made room for us because they knew we would have some of those larger, CoreLogic and Larita are larger companies that collect the payments, and they send us $1 million plus payments, and so they're prepared for those and they're ready. Anything else you need to know from me?
I'm done, unless somebody else had any questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have early checks in the amount of $89,949.79.
Questions on the warrants?
Yeah. Was that page 5, I think?
I seen something.
We got a 3-year subscription under the health department. I guess first question is with that, and I know you can't answer those, but if you can find out anything, is that a new, it's annual subscription, 3 years, $26,016. Is that a new subscription?
No, I did look at that because I thought you might have a question. We have paid it, and the last year it was $9,000. So I think with doing a 3-year, it might be giving them a little bit of a discount.
Well, that was my question. Do we,
Computer program.
you know, last week we talked about cash flow management. It seems like with all the contracts and subscriptions that we have, the department heads should be working with Tina to try to negotiate some of those. Because that ends up being hundreds of thousands of dollars a year that we might be able to save.
Okay.
I have a question for you. So looking at this Patagonia Health, it looks like this was a project that was initiated by some guy out of Wichita State University, looking at making small rural Kansas health departments more efficient. At one point there was a $10,000 grant available for counties to purchase up to 75% of their electronic health record program. And looking here, the initial counties were Harvey, Franklin, Marion, Clay, Ellsworth, those initial health departments. So I'm just wondering if we got that $10,000 grant to,
I know it was paid out of workforce development, and that is a grant, but I don't know if we got the 10,000, so we can check on that.
okay, just, 'cause it looks like, you know, it would have been nice to know when it happened that we were part of a pilot program and,
You know, we're pioneers.
you know, but for me to, you know, find it online that we were part of it, it was kind of after the fact, but just like to know if we got that $10,000 grant or,
We're still getting it year over year.
yeah, if that's something that continues or
Or if it's just a one-time thing to get you in the door and
then they hose us the rest of our life.
then unfunded mandate.
But it looks like, I mean, it looks like this is all electronic, converting all of our records to electronic health records, and then they do all kinds of other stuff. From bill payment to insurance verification to telehealth. I don't know what all we're getting, but it would be nice to maybe have the health department come in and tell us what we're getting for our $26,000. I don't know how the rest of you feel, if that's appropriate.
No, when there's big ticket items, usually it's nice to have the department heads explain those.
Okay.
Or at least give enough information to Tina that we get an explanation, one of the two.
One of the two.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the $89,949.79?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by David,
Second.
Clark. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Thanks for the mind reading.
Okay, the next thing is we have, every other year, we have to do an approval of the drinking establishment license for the Marion Country Club. So it's that time to do that, so I just need a motion and a vote.
I move that we issue a license for the Marion Country Club.
Second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
I just need you to sign right there.
New tickets.
The other
Oh,
one.
yeah.
It's outdated by 25 years. Guess we don't send out a whole lot of those.
Otherwise, that's all I have. There is the admin report in there. That's it.
Anybody got any questions about the admin report? Okay. All right, moving on. Outside board reports. Same, moving on. So we will go ahead, since we're ahead of schedule, jump into the executive session.
When we do that.
Okay. So it's attorney-client privilege. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss item number 2, consultation with our attorney-client privilege for potential litigation.
No, actual litigation.
Litigation. Pursuant to KSA 75-4319B with the board, Brad, until 1 o'clock for 15 minutes.
Will be that much.
Resume back.
Oh, yeah. With open session to resume back in this room following closed session. Second by Kent. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. 5-0.
Okay.
Alright, out of executive session, no decision made. Alright, where's?
I do have one more thing that was just given to me.
Okay.
Marcy needs a signature from you for the local emergency operation plan concurrence.
Oh, yeah. Did everybody have a chance to review those? It's a lot of information in there. Yeah.
Fairly comprehensive, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Somebody took some time to put all that together.
It's been added to through the years. A lot of good information. All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of county information in it.
Yeah. Alright. See you at 1 o'clock. See you at 1:30.
Pretty much contempt of court.
Yeah, really.
You gonna call upstairs?
Vote.
What their their budget request was last year.
Yeah, he accused me in there at Wyndham's jury tampering. Like, and they called us all in there and told us we were tampering with the jury.
Good grief. But you not behave.
I know, well, I'm sorry. I thought it was gonna be her, but the guy that overall's got it too.
You troublemaker.
Just lower the boom on the crane, or is it going?
It's gone, they're all
Getting
about or
taken.
something. I don't know, I don't think they did anything with the blade yet, it's still sitting out there, I believe. I mean, I don't do any trespassing or nothing. But, they've been working on another one, that west one, for over a month. So I don't know,
I just didn't see it in there, or the boom in there.
it's been in there for a while, hasn't it, for a month or so, probably. A lot of traffic going by. Should we get that?
I can't get a hold of anybody.
Is that FBI checking on
Trying to find last year's budget. See. Kind of go over.
So are we?
Contempt of court. Been out of order. Well,
It'd go well.
This is a precedent, so if we wait a long time for the judge, we can wait for anybody else that's on the agenda, right?
necessarily, I'm moving forward. Where's our budget? I remember what account that comes from.
It's in the general.
In general?
Yep.
Judicial. Clerk, treasurer. Judicial. Proposed budget 2025 is $208,819. Should be going on 2026, but the year before we were at actual, or no, estimate for that year was 205,184. So an increase of 3,000. And the prior year, 2023 actual was 193,575.
So they thought it was at 130, but they're gonna see if everybody's ready.
Okay.
So,
Did you get all those numbers? Everything's in front of you?
Trying to get to where the judicial's at.
Back to the front.
Going back to one of our meetings, I think one of the increases they talked about was they had about one more for every county.
Yep, me too. I missed it.
And then there was some cost of food adjustment that was gonna have to be dealt with.
What was that?
Being at one of the last meeting, when they talked budgets that we proposed, the fact that just about every county up there had at least one more inmate per county on their average, which was, and then the cost of the feeding them was higher than the previous year, so I would assume we would have seen some 4 to 5% increase, maybe almost, to if the numbers that they take in stayed as high as they were the previous 24.
What do we got?
you here for the budget?
That's all I can add.
4 or 5, usually 4 or 5 people.
There he is. Man of the hour.
It's gotta be somebody else.
Oh, no, it's you, it's all you.
It's right here.
How are you?
I'm trying to think who's the chairman now. Yes.
Hand it off to you.
Yeah,
We lost
here we
it.
go. You should have the preliminary, the signed preliminary.
Yeah.
How are you guys?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know if I have. Here you go.
Thank you.
Let's get that. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, so just take us through it. There's usually 3 different sections. We gotta figure out which dollars we owe.
All right, so let me introduce everybody that I've brought here today. Nikki Davenport, who's our court administrator, is the person that just handed out. We also have Lois Smith from Court Services, the head of Court Services. Courtney Parker, who is his heir apparent, and she'll be taking that role over, I think, in July. Stephanie, who's with Court Trustee, and she's the one you like the most because you don't have to give any money to her budget. She does it all herself. She's self-sufficient. So I save her for last for ending on a high note. And you're all familiar with Jan Helmer, and I always like to brag on Jan. She's the only clerk in Kansas that runs 2 counties. So you're blessed to have her here as we are. As we start off on this, we have some good news to tell you. I was prepared to tell you that the expense in Marion County was up about $18,000, and most of that was due to a computer increase for camera server. That's not true. That's a mistake. That actually goes to Morris County. That's where the camera servers. So that $13,329 is not in your folks' budget, and we'll be submitting an amended budget in that regard. Case filings dictate the way we figure it out in the 8th Judicial District as to who's responsible for what percentages. Marion County's case numbers are up, and Gary's are down. And as such, Marion County's percentage is increased from 12% to 15% for the fiscal year 26 coming up. Other than that, we don't have a lot of changes, folks, in Marion County's budget. When we correct item under under mine, it's worksheet item 18. When we correct that and take that $13,000 out, you'll be up a very modest amount for fiscal year 26.
And I'll do that today so that you all have that.
We'll get that taken care of immediately. That's my fault. But happy to entertain any questions y'all have, guys. It's basically a boilerplate, the same budget that we have been submitting. We're keeping the mediation in there. Mediation has proven to be very, very successful in the 8th Judicial District. So we've now added, Judge Powers is doing a lot of the mediation, but now we've added a retired attorney, Keith Henry, who's coming in and helping us do mediation. I know he's done some in Morris and Marion County. It's good to keep people that are retired and not losing that brain trust, that institutional knowledge. It's good to keep that institutional knowledge in play. And they're getting, if you check out the cost of that compared to what other counties are paying, we're getting a hometown discount, which is very nice.
So you're saying your actual proposed budget expenditures is overshot by 13,000, so it puts you back down on the 2025.
Yep, absolutely, 100% correct.
All right.
That's correct. Yep. About $13,329 to be exact.
We're looking at budgeting for 2026, basically the 208 mark, 209.
Judge Sexton, you might wanna then deliver the.
Yeah, the good news.
The other server.
And in your packet, and we've been talking about this, and when I first came on as chief judge, we knew the servers had a finite lifespan, and in fact, we've put the little Dutch boy finger in the dike, and we bought an extended warranty that runs out December 31st of 2026. So we're going to need new servers, and so we've attached, have you handed that out?
And I did hand it to the chairman.
Right.
And attached to that, and did you attach the right?
And I hope I attached the right one. We just
Yes.
had some more information this morning, so I'm trying to think if my memo is exactly what that attachment
Right.
states, but
So we have that Brent Graham, who's another person we brought. Brent's our IT guy. I don't know how we'd get along without him. But he's the one, he's tracked down. We have 3 different bids that are attached there too. And it appears that Marion County's is somewhere from the minimum of $19,363 up to the, $17,647 up to the highest bid of $22,658. But we would request that be in our 2026 budget, because we're gonna have to be using that at least by the end of the year in 2026 to update all those servers.
Take the 13,000 out, put back 20.
There you go.
Make us feel good, and then
Well, I would just soon not have that mistake at the beginning, but I guess there's a bright side, it's that. But I think, and if you have any questions for Brent, I think we've taken these servers as far as they can go. Are we right, Brent?
So these all,
how old are the servers?
They were bought in January 2017.
When?
January of 2017. So into next year, they'll be 10 years old.
How does FFA get theirs the last 50 years?
I don't know.
The good thing is we know right where everything is. FFA may not have that luxury, but we have a good idea where everything is.
not a whole lot of hacking going on.
Where are these servers located at?
What?
It's sensitive.
In this building?
Yep. In the clerk's office.
I'm just making sure it wasn't sensitive information. Sometimes you tread lightly on those things.
Yes. We do, we've done quite a little bit as far as that. When that hack took place on the state level, Brent has us squared away. We've done a lot to update and our security in the state judicial district courthouses.
When it comes to technology, are you budgeting so much a year knowing that in 4 or 5 years you're gonna have something, or are we just getting
No, we
presented the bill?
We try to do that, but this was something that I knew, and I think I came on in 2021. Am I right on that? And so I knew, Ms. Davenport told me, she goes, this is on the future, this is gonna be an issue coming up. And so that's why I think that was the first year I said, well, I want them to know now. I want them to know what the cost is. And that's why we've been kind of updating you every year on this cost. But normally on the computers, that's in our budget. We're when we move them out and move them in, yes.
And on the budget this year, I didn't incorporate that expense into the budget because we wanted you to see what our daily operating budget was. And then adding in that, that server cost would be additional. So I just kind of kept it separate.
But in the amended budget, it needs to be in there, right?
No, no, it'll stay separate.
Okay, all right.
You just appreciate it out in 5 years. We just need to budget for.
Right. If we can.
Well, that's what you have to do.
Yeah. Because I think Brent's saying that there are no more Band-Aids.
But it should be next year's budget,
Correct.
the one you're gonna buy in 2030.
Yeah, for 2026, we'll need it in that budget so that come January 2027, we'll be ready to go. How long will that last? How long are those set for?
I've done replaced maybe 7 or 8 years. So we're close to 10 years now, so. 10 years is max on
and
capital
dates.
warranty.
I mean, the business world figures 5 years and it's trash, it's out of here,
Yeah.
it's outdated. I know you guys gone through a massive update the last 5 years.
Been interesting.
I heard that. Is all the support systems on the new update now?
Yes, and they've,
Everybody's happy?
yeah, well, I don't think Odyssey's ever gonna make anybody warm and fuzzy, but it's what we work with now. I know getting on my computer now is about a 5-minute ordeal every morning. That's all right if that's what it takes to keep it safe. I'd much rather have that than going back to paper like we did there for a while.
What's servers, how many terabytes are these servers capable of? Not the old ones.
I think we're pushing 12 or 14 terabytes, I think, for Marion County.
No, it's just a storage device. They're not salvageable or usable to anybody, to recoup some of those dollars.
Well, I'm selling the old stuff. With age on it, they're not worth anything.
They're solid state hard drives or
They're all spinning
all spinning.
drives, yeah.
Okay.
Even the new server quotes are spinning drives.
You guys
really-
Would
You
double-
guys
double
bump my
the
pay
price.
grade now. I'm just sitting back and enjoying the show and listening to the conversation.
I want solid state, it would double the price.
Double the price for a solid state. Take all the mechanicals out of it.
What?
You don't have the fault rate.
Yeah, it would double the price on the server. It just, I can't justify that cost. So,
Well, if you had something cratering often, you could justify it, but if you ain't got a crater and if it works, don't fix it.
we've not had a single drive fail here in Marion County. 9 years we've had it.
No earthquakes.
That's you and Gary, none in Marion, Morris, Dickinson, so.
Alrighty. Anybody else got any other questions?
When's our next meeting?
I'm sorry?
When's our next meeting?
Our next meeting, as far as,
Judicial.
as far as the 8th Judicial District, we just had a meeting in Morris County 2 weeks ago. I think, 2 weeks ago. Our next meeting, I think,
No, that was Friday.
Yeah.
was it last Friday?
It was in, are you talking like our management meetings or?
No, our district judges meeting.
Oh,
Is that the
yes.
meeting you're talking about?
I'm on the board of something.
Oh, our CAB meeting.
I was trying to figure out what.
I'm gonna tell you, that could have been any way of 5 dates with me. And I'm wondering, I'm trying to pick one. When is our
I'm
next
trying
CAB
to
meeting?
think when that is.
Somebody said July, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say the next one's July.
Because the one that was scheduled, other than
Right.
asking Jeff, we wanted to ride together, and he says, well, I don't think there is one.
That's it, that was in Dickinson, yes.
So I'd have been a little pissed if I drove up there and there wasn't one.
And rightfully so, rightfully so.
At least I knew the day before.
Chris Ann's pretty good about giving us all that information.
Yes.
We got another appointment at 1:30, so is there anything else that we need to?
We'll just get the amendment, sorry about the mistake, we'll get the amendment to you today.
Okay, and so our budgeted amount that we requesting is 209 plus
Plus the server.
the server.
Yeah.
So we'll have to, at budget time, we'll have to make sure that's all correctly noted.
And always, thank you very much for your time, guys, greatly appreciate it. And if you ever need anything, I'm very easy to get a hold of. Let me know and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Run a red light or nothing?
No, none at all. I do all my own calendaring, so nothing comes to my assistant, it all comes to me.
No, I wasn't trying to usher you out. We got plenty of time. I just wanted to make sure if there was anything else, we'd get onto it.
I think we're good. Anything else, guys?
No, sir.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jan had something to say.
And should I just? The corrected, okay, I'll send that to you, too. Thank you.
Well, I think I seen him in the hallway, so we can go ahead and schedule.
Downtown corruption.
Hello. How are you all today?
Right. Good to see you again.
You as well.
What have you discovered for us?
Yeah, most definitely. And first and foremost, thank you all for having me back again today. Unfortunately, Tina's out of the office. I spoke with her briefly this morning. Not feeling well, so hopefully she is getting better and whatnot. But had a lot of conversations with her, probably 3 or 4 meetings over the past couple weeks since we met last. So from a quick recap standpoint, you asked us to figure out exactly what was in the budget for 25 budget year, prepare a list and really hone in on the exact numbers. We did some big picture stuff over the early last year. We started July 19th working through this with Tina and Sheriff. So put a lot of time in on their front end, along with all of the department heads. So certainly appreciate that. And worked with the legal from a contract and reviewed the contracts and got approval on all of that stuff from my understanding. So just to kind of get into the weeds quickly, and before I do that, spent a lot of time in the last meeting kind of going over the program, so happy to answer any questions from an acquisition, upfitting, funding, resale perspective, or anything at all. But from a numbers and dollar and cent standpoint, we really honed in on the numbers over the last month and got to 34 total vehicles up for replacement. We brought that down a little bit from what we initially recommended. Aging, weed, appraiser, park, road and bridge, planning, ambulance, sheriff, each of these departments have at least one vehicle in their segment, which in my experience and in this space, that's a very good thing so that everybody can feel this program. I've met with each of these department heads individually multiple times at this point via Zoom and really worked through. So these are their vehicles. This isn't just something I put out to them. This is their segment. But breaking it down, in the current budget without road and bridge, which makes up almost 50% of the actual vehicles, without road and bridge, we have $245,000 in the budget today. With the enterprise program, you do not start paying for the vehicles until after they deliver. So my assumption is if we order these vehicles as quickly as possible, we're kind of in between the 25, 26 model year. If we order these vehicles as quickly as possible, my assumption is you'd probably have 2 to 3 payments this year. So this is the numbers that I'm about to tell you are for a full 12-month span. So essentially next year, but it will fall into this budget year and we are in a really good position long and short. So I drop off, let's just, perfect world, I drop all 34 vehicles off the exact same day. That'll never happen, but I'm just saying it would. The estimated equity from the sale proceeds, we will sell those vehicles on your behalf. There's roughly $275,000 tied up in those 34 vehicles. That's an estimate, sight unseen. We're very conservative with that, but it's been a few months as well, so just an estimate there. But roughly $275,000. The aftermarket equipment build out for those 34 vehicles is $148,000. I have that structured to where as soon as those vehicles drop, we'll pay that out up front. And then your annual budget from a lease payment standpoint, if there were 12 full months, would be $330,000. So this budget year, if we can have these vehicles all land in this year, the only thing that would be expense to the county would be the $148,000 in aftermarket equipment build in 2 to 3 payments this year. And that would put us in a really great position and actually have a surplus of budget dollars with that 240. And then that 275,000, there's still additional money. There will be a lot of additional monies in that if we can put that into the equipment reserve fund to offset our costs for next year. So long and short, we're in a really good position from a financial perspective with these 34 vehicles. And I know that's a lot of numbers I'm throwing at you there, but we've worked very precisely to figure out exactly what we need from a quantity standpoint, and this would put the county in a very good position. That only includes the depreciation side, the vehicle side, purchasing, upfitting, funding, resale. That doesn't include the reduction in operational expenses that we discussed in the prior meeting with our maintenance and fuel with implementing a newer fleet of vehicles.
So how often do we roll these vehicles?
Great question. So I have roughly half of the vehicles structured at 36 months, and I have the other half structured at 60 months. That being said, my team will be here 3 to 4 times per year at minimum. We'll base that around your budget year. The first year, we have a very aggressive implementation process to ensure this partnership gets off the ground properly. So we have a lot of conversations over the first year. We'll have all of our meetings. The team has already met Justin Harper, who will take over for me, your client strategy manager. But the reason I share that with you is because I can tell you 36 months, but we will absolutely make recommendations to get out sooner based upon the resale market, and we will absolutely make recommendations to extend out longer. So right now, 36 and 60 months, some of that has to do with the aftermarket.
What determines what vehicle's 36 and what's 60?
Just the cost of ownership from a cent per mile standpoint. So when we analyze these, we're making the recommendation. Some vehicles are set up at 5,000 miles, 7,500 miles, 10,000 miles. Sheriff's at 20,000 miles. So every vehicle has its own mileage pattern, holding recommendation. And again, it's very fluid and flexible. That's why we're going to start collecting this data and analyzing this quarterly to bring those recommendations of, hey, we need to get out sooner. This vehicle's trending lower from a mileage standpoint, higher from a mileage standpoint. But that's where the partnership piece comes in. This is really just we're trying to get as close as possible and do what's right in today's dollars. But as you know, the world changes very quickly, and we didn't expect the tariffs, we didn't expect the COVID, we didn't expect a lot of things, and that changes the resale market. Same with the stock market, and that's what my team's always analyzing on a continued basis.
So you handle the management of the vehicles?
Yeah, they do.
I mean, there's not a whole bunch of record keeping for us to do.
Everything's online, you have access to all of it, but we're bringing that all to life for you and taking that off of your staff's plate. We're meeting with your staff that's the requirement that we ask of you, is that the decision makers, and we're gonna need the staff input, and that's always why I always wanna meet with the staff as we have before we get to this point, so that they know who we are, they know the program, they understand it, and they're part of the process. But yes, we are taking all of that off your plate, and that's not factored into the analytics, of course, but there's a substantial amount that we're taking off of their plate and bringing that to life from a data and recommendation standpoint.
So each operator enter data every night of what they drove and the fuel they burnt?
No, so from a data perspective, if there's a couple different ways that we collect data. We have shared the maintenance agreements with the staff. When they go to get their maintenance done at the local shop, that automatically updates in our system, so that our team, and that'll give us enough data to know roughly, it starts to analyze it. I'm not the IT side, but it starts to figure out what the mileage pattern is and where that is. So we'll always have estimates, but pretty darn precise. So no staff has to put any mileage in or anything of that sort whatsoever.
You're not hooked to the vehicle then?
No, unless you want to be. We have mobile apps, we have telematics, we have different ways that we can do that, but no, sir.
What do you figure for a patrol car, the life event?
Part of the upfit costs.
Yep, so that is factored in there. And with the sheriff, we have aftermarket equipment of $8,793 billed out, and then in the lease payment, we're at $964. We've got them structured at 60 months based upon the mileage pattern, but 60 months today, but there's a good chance that we get out of some of those probably at 36 to 48 months, but it all kind of depends on the mileage, and they're not locked into anything, so that's just kind of where we're at today, but I would assume quite a few of those vehicles are gonna come a little bit sooner than 60 months. And some of that and also comes down to the aftermarket equipment. With those PIUs, the Ford PIU Pursuit Interceptors, if they change the model 3, 4, 5 years down the road, we might get out a year early so that we can transfer the equipment that's going on these and save $10,000 or whatever it is if we can transfer that expense over. So that's where all of those conversations are coming into play, and it's this is truly the tip of the iceberg, and it's really about the partnership that we're gonna get into.
So you're saying fiscal year 2025, basically estimated cost to the county is about $230,500, because you're talking about a quarter of the year on payments and $148,000 on upgrade.
Yeah, let's just assume absolute worst case scenario, you're gonna have $100,000 in lease payments, which I don't expect that to happen, but let's say that happens. We've got 148, so that's 248,000, and we've got 275,000
On the sale.
on the sale. So
And you got 245 in the budget already.
yeah, so you're actually at a surplus of $270,000, which is certainly the recommendation and really sets us up for success in future years to make adjustments. Now, I also want to reiterate that does not include anything from Road and Bridge, and Road and Bridge has 16 vehicles on this list and a lot of equipment. So we're in a extremely strong position with that budget as it stands, and that doesn't include the true number of Road and Bridge budget that's in there too. So we're in a really good position with that.
Our old vehicles, you just auction them off?
Yeah, so it'll be dependent on the vehicle. So with for example, our enterprise vehicles, almost all of them are sold direct to our wholesale and franchise buyers. With the vehicles that are 10 years old, 100 to 200 plus thousand miles on them, those go through our auction channel. So in full, roughly 15% of our vehicles, our team will hand select which vehicles are going through the auction or which vehicles are sold direct. There's other, you guys can certainly sell them on your own through the current process or whatever that be if you wanted to, but we'll make that recommendation. We are not magicians, of course. If it's a 15-year-old truck and 200,000 miles, it is what it is, right? Well, we're gonna bring value from a logistics standpoint, getting out of that vehicle, paperwork, all that stuff. But really our bread and butter is once we get into the enterprise vehicles and we start cycling these out at the right time, they're going direct to our wholesale buyers. That's where we bring a lot of value from a resale perspective, but we'll absolutely help with those.
What's your commission on the sale of the old vehicles?
$400 direct, no matter if we sell it for $40,000 or we sell for $400, our team takes $400. That's our service charge, and that's through the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative. And that's where, we will tell you if it's a $450 vehicle that we're selling, which probably not the case, but just hypothetically, our team will tell you that, hey, sell that on your own. It doesn't even make sense for us to touch that thing or whatever that looks like. So that's not where we make our money. But we want to be a good partner. We want to be a good partner and help you do what's best at every step of the way.
Maintenance costs, I mean, I don't know. Road and Bridge, they do a lot of their own maintenance on their vehicles. I mean, we should be doing most of the maintenance on all of our vehicles in the county, in my opinion, but.
So
With this program, we go through local dealers and they bill you and you bill us.
couple options there, and from my understanding on our prior conversations, a lot of the maintenance has been outsourced. And with an outsourced type program, our programs play really well. Okay. Now, first and foremost, you can keep us out of it completely. You don't have to use us. So let's just take Road and Bridge, for example. If they want to keep it in-house for X amount of vehicles or whatever that looks like, you can absolutely do so. From the prior conversations that we've had, a lot of the maintenance is outsourced. That's where our programs come into play. Our maintenance management program, we can put that on every single vehicle day one right out of the gate. So everybody that's on this program and operationally is doing the exact same thing. That program is $6 per month per vehicle. I go into the local shop, I give them the maintenance card for that vehicle or the mobile app. That shop contacts our ASE certified technicians. We make sure it's the right maintenance, right interval, negotiated pricing. We pay the bill wherever they go. You get one monthly consolidated bill. That is for the existing vehicles in the fleet that are 1 to 200,000 miles. That will have sub-customered out, so all those different departments that I mentioned will be able to see their exact maintenance and get very precise from a budget standpoint. So that's one of the benefits. But all that data gets into your system so you can see from a cost perspective what it is and you can analyze that. But that flows through to our tools as well. So as Justin's coming out on those meetings, now we're leveraging your hard data to bring those recommendations on when to get in and out of those vehicles. That program is the only program we offer for pursuit vehicles. So emergency response, police interceptor, police Tahoe, etc. Once the new vehicles arrive, the Traverse, the 2500, whatever it be, we have a fixed and budgeted full maintenance program. And with that program, we'll fix your costs, whether it's 60 months, 7,500 miles, 36 months, 5,000 miles. We'll fix your cost in full for the duration of the term and cover all preventative and all non-preventative maintenance. I do not include brakes and tires because we're usually getting out of the vehicles before those. We can certainly do so though.
The appraiser's office has 5 vehicles.
I think so.
They get 10,000 miles a piece on them. They drove that much.
Say that one more time.
The appraiser's office has 5 vehicles.
Yes, sir.
I don't think they drive them that much.
Just in the times of the year when
So
they gotta go out and do checks.
would you trade them off when the warranty wears off then?
Yeah, absolutely. So
36,000?
I've got their Trailblazers, 3 of their Trailblazers which is a compact SUV style model at 36 months, and I've got the Colorado at 60 months. And again, it's flexible, but yes, that's absolutely the right.
They won't get any miles on them.
Correct. They're looking, and a lot of the departments have very low mileage patterns
But the
and
lake office, I can't see them getting a lot of miles.
Well, they depreciate faster than the miles you can put on them.
And from that perspective, that kind of flows right into the enterprise model as a whole. I may have mentioned this in the last meeting, but we rotate our vehicles every year, sometimes 2 years. And we're putting on, 30 to 60,000 miles in that time frame, but we're still selling them at 1 or 2 years because we buy vehicles better than anyone, because we buy a couple million. We sell vehicles better than anyone. You get our buying power, or very similar buying power, given those government incentives. So it's a very similar model, but you're even putting on lower mileage patterns. So when we're selling those, there's a massive market that wants to buy vehicles 1 to 5 years old with low mileage patterns. So that's what we're tapping into essentially. So from a maintenance perspective, just to kind of ensure I hit that, there's a lot of flexibility and not road and bridge can look different than sheriff, and appraiser can look different. So if there's a department that says we want to keep this in-house, it makes sense, we can absolutely do so. A lot of our clients, I do Jackson County, Missouri in Kansas City, and they outsource a few hundred vehicles with us, even though they've got 30 mechanics sitting there, because they want their team focused on the heavy duty equipment. They know that there's more technology in these vehicles. It's more about diagnosing the computers. Most of these vehicles are under warranty anyways, so they outsource that segment and keep their heavy duty stuff inside. So a lot of different things with the agreements that we put together from a legal standpoint. That's not mandating you automatically do this for every single vehicle. That's just giving you the option to do that for every single, as many vehicles as you would like.
A lot of information.
So really from a big picture standpoint, and talking with Tina, our goal in today's meeting was, now that the contracts have been reviewed and approved on that side, the request was to enter into an agreement with Enterprise FM Trust, which is our team, and approve Tina to authorize and work within the budget for lease quotes and lease documents, so that we can go through this 25 budget year and get these vehicles, as some will be 25 model year, some will be 26 model year, but to work within this budget year and use those dollars appropriately, and get this partnership established with the approved current budget.
Not having Tina in the room, I just feel, since we delegated most of it to her, to bring it back to us, I don't wanna rush the cart.
Sure.
You brought us all the information.
Tina got her proposal.
Now, so we can, when Tina's back, we can make that motion.
Put it back on the agenda for next week.
Okay. I'm not trying to
No,
waste your time, or I don't expect you to come back next week. I just need Tina in the room because we
Totally respect
authorized her to talk with you.
Yes, sir.
We just wanna make sure there's not any.
I have 2 commissioner meetings next week. I'm very happy to zoom in to answer any questions that you all have. I know Tina's very much for the proposal, but I certainly respect that and understand that, so.
We hired her to do a job.
Absolutely.
We need to make sure she
Yes, sir.
does her job.
100%, and again, I just appreciate all the time and effort that you all have given me in these couple meetings here. Any questions that arise, feel free to reach out direct or through Tina. I'm very confident that we can help you guys, and this partnership's going to be strong. Really, the way that we've done this is my preference. We've taken a lot of time and digested this very, very heavily, and that's always better in my opinion. I'd rather set this partnership up for the long term than rush into it with a few vehicles or something of that sort. So just appreciate Tina, Sheriff, all the department heads, as well as your time.
Yeah, I see it. I just need a breakdown of, we're talking 2025, budget for 2026 and what that looks like, and then 2027, so we can really know
Yes, sir.
what our long-term commitment is.
So on that, next year, all things equal, nothing from an equity, nothing from a budget perspective, just straight capital outlay. If we just did these 34 vehicles, there would be $330,000 in expenses for that full 12 months. And that is all for the 34 vehicles. You all have
275 carryover, basically, cash carryover. Cause we'd probably eat up the 245,
yeah.
so 250, with a 250 cash carryover.
The net would be correct.
So we're looking at about $80,000 that we need to fill the gap on 6.
Yeah. Assuming there's no additional vehicles that come into operation. So, you know, there's 53 vehicles in the fleet, so, you know, based upon where but I mean, a good portion of this, like, essentially, we're doing 2 budget years essentially right now, being that they're gonna land so far into your 25 budget.
So then 2027, how many of these vehicles go out, and then how much of this 330 is out there in 2027, since you've done the vehicle purchases?
You're gonna have additional equities from the sale of, let's say we do 10 more vehicles, and in those year to 2 year ballpark, you're gonna have the equity from those to offset a lot of those expenses to get us through. So the first 3 years are gonna be very minimal, as we're discussing here. And then at that point, we're gonna start selling those enterprise vehicles. And we'll have 34 vehicles that will be sold 3, 4, 5 years, and that equity all gets put back to you, because again, this is the equity lease model. So when we sell the enterprise vehicle, you get the equity that's there. So it really, those first 6 years are often the lowest budget. And then at that point, we have a ton of data. We've got all the maintenance records, we've got all of this stuff, and we're able to really leverage that to do what's right and really put you in a good position over the next 5 to 6 years.
So out of the 330,000, what's a stagnant lease cost? I mean, is that the stagnant cost? Is that what? So we don't do anything else?
Yeah,
We
330.
don't sell any more vehicles? Maintain what we have?
If we just do let's say we do 34 vehicles for the next 5 years, your consistent budget, sure, if we replace vehicles, inflation, but ballpark is $330,000. And the equity from the client-owned vehicles and the enterprise vehicles will offset that at upfront, 3 years, 5 years, if we keep that all exactly as we have it planned here today. So there's multiple times that those monies are getting offset, but 330 is the answer to your question.
Do department heads get to choose what kind of vehicle they want?
100%.
Need?
Absolutely. My team will always make recommendations as we have up to this point, but
You've
you're
got Ford and Chevy and different people.
100%. I've got every model that you could ever imagine out there.
Yeah, but
Absolutely. And you know, I think that's where, you know, there's certainly recommendations from a financial perspective, vehicles that play better than others.
Yeah.
And that's where we work together. But, you know, I would take it even one step further. They also get 100% of the equipment, right? So whatever they need from an operational perspective, we are going to make sure we have the right equipment. You know, City of Hillsborough uses Hillsborough Industries right here in town for some of their flatbeds and such, right? So whatever they want to do, for whatever reason, you're always in full control. Same with getting out of the vehicles. I can come out and tell you all day you need to rotate them at 36 months. That's the best financial move, but you're not obligated to do that. They're your vehicles. You do whatever you want, and that's where we work together. We're going to bring you all, from a commission standpoint, a lot of data over the years, and you know, in our annual client review, that's a good time to bring it back and really show you what we've done and what we put together. But again, that's where the partnership kicks in.
Everybody okay waiting for
Yeah.
Tina next week?
Yeah.
there's just lots of ifs.
I know, and
I don't see the downfall yet.
I understand, you know, timing is everything based on the numbers that they put together, because you're trying to play it so it doesn't, less budget impact. I get that, so I'm not trying to delay it for too long.
No, absolutely, and we're in a really good time. I mean, there's going to be 25, there's going to be 26 model year, you know, and that's a big piece when I'm doing these analytics on the front is everything's going to change, right? Next year the price of vehicle is going to change. Next year the resale market's going to change. Maintenance has gone up every single year for the last 5 years. We're not telling you stuff's going to be stagnant, and from a timing perspective, we're gonna bring that data to them and to you and be there to make those recommendations and change this model to do what's best every step of the way. Along that way, there's a lot of budget preparations that we're gonna bring and add value there. But absolutely, and one more week, no big deal, there's nothing, pending on that. And again, I'm confident Tina's on board with this, and we've had, like I said, probably 4 conversations at least since we met last. So anything you guys need from me in the meantime, let me know, but really excited to get this off the ground with you guys.
Yeah, make sure Tina sends you a link, and if you're all able to be on,
Yes, sir.
we may not have any questions for you, but if you're there, you're there.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Alright. Oh, that was a lot of information, real fast.
Moving targets, sir.
Alright. Anything else, Brad?
The only other thing that I had, I just wanted to mention in case there were any final additions to it. A few weeks ago, the request had been to summarize that, and I'd already prepared that for you some time ago, the open burning rules and regulations reference summary. I distributed that quite a long while ago, assuming you all had a copy of that. If there were anything else that you wished to have changed to it, I'm going to take one last run through it with the chiefs, just to be sure we didn't miss anything at the time. But I'd like to get that in place, and so that it's available to be handed out. So, but I would remind you of it. If you don't have a copy of it, let me know.
Did the fire chief look at what?
I did not get responses from all of them, and I'm going to just call each one individually, I think, or check with Les and see if there are any, and just in case you aren't able to locate yours.
I guess there was,
copy. This one still doesn't have the resolution, the action number, which I will put in, obviously, but I wanted to make sure there weren't any other changes. Get it into final form.
Somebody's email here. I didn't read it.
Yeah, that's you. That's all you.
Yep.
Alright. Anything else, Brad?
No, that's it for today.
Commission comments? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Mike, you didn't oppose. No, you can't. It's already recorded.